In real estate, the process is guided by two equally important forces: the clients pursuing their dream and the agents working to make those dreams a reality. Every transaction has a chronicle. These are their stories.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in for episode 4 of Realty and Reality Unfiltered. Remember, this show is not like what you see everywhere. It is going to be uncut. It's going to be real estate. We're going to talk about the things that happen here in Georgia real estate to keep you in the know and to let you know that there are people out there that will get the job done for you. Today, I am so lucky to have an amazing realtor who is here with me. I've known her for quite some time. She knew me before I was a realtor. I was working in the office. I used to do her paperwork, and now we are colleagues. She is still killing it years later. We have Miss Jennifer Houston here with us. Thank you for coming in. I really appreciate it. So tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am Jennifer Houston, and I am a commercial and residential broker with HomeSmart, servicing Atlanta, Florida, Dominican Republic, and Ghana, Africa.
Oh,
and
Lord.
I'm excited to be here today.
Look, she
21 years.
21 years, look, different
legal.
countries. She can legally drink in real estate. She's in multiple states and multiple countries. When I tell you I am thankful to have her here because she jet setting. So I'm glad she's able to be here with us today.
Yes.
But we're going to talk about something that will probably give you a little bit of heart palpitations when you think about it.
Yes.
We're going to talk about the deal that fell apart 24 hours before closing.
Mm-hmm.
So think about it. You're a buyer, you're a seller, you're on the road. You think you're getting ready to close tomorrow, and then, oh my gosh, you get a call from your realtor because something has happened.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your client, the transaction. Were they a first-time buyer? Tell us how we got here.
Yes. So this particular couple, very lovely couple, they were moving from California.
Okay, cross country. Okay.
Yes. And so they came out to visit one day.
Mm-hmm.
They stayed about a week and we couldn't find a house.
Oh, God. Okay.
And then when they made it back home, I found their house. And it was hilarious. They were like, we were there a whole week and we couldn't find a house. They went to multiple, but it was exciting. And they were excited because they were retiring. And so this was huge to them to get here in Georgia.
So they found the right house. Everything is going along. Y'all going through inspection. Y'all going through appraisal. You are clear to close basically at that point because you have 24 hours before. You're clear to close. Everything is looking good.
Yes.
All right. So walk us through the transaction leading up until those 48 hours. Was there any kind of alert or alarm that something was going to go on?
No alert, no alarm, nothing I could have done different. I work with my same lender. Mm-hmm. We just celebrated 21 years as well.
Wow.
And when I say if a deal can't get through, it can't get through. Period.
If they can't do it, it can't be
done. It won't be done. And so it was something. They were on the road. I always talked to them. I said, hey, FaceTime me. You all got the truck going? Because they had to pay for it, a global mover.
Right.
And then they had a big U-Haul
on
the road ready to go.
Okay.
And I get a call and I said, why are you calling me? Are you clear to close? He's like, no. Did they leave yet? And I said, yes, they're on their way here with all their valuable items. I made it very clear to my lender. He said, well, are you sitting down? I said, no, I'm standing up. What is going on? He said, the underwriter just spit the deal out and said they have to pay off their car.
People, we're not talking about paying off a $2,000 or $200 credit card.
Jaguar.
They have to pay off a Jag.
So we fast.
And they're on the road.
On the road. And I'm gearing them on, talking to them on the phone. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I did the final walk because they've not seen their home.
Right. That's right, because they're in California.
They're in California. They've
only seen it through video and pictures and all that.
Fast so that we could win the deal.
In real estate, I know something like that is not going to be an easy task.
No, ma'am.
To explain to them.
No.
Because not only are you about to tell them something that's going to jar
devastate
them. Right. And the lender had no idea about it, of course.
Shocker.
Had no idea about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so tell me how that interaction I know how your interaction went with the lender. Of course, you can't be mad. You can't be mad at the lender. Mm-hmm. It's the underwriter's decision. And so tell me how that conversation went when you called them.
I didn't do it by myself.
I know you would.
No, ma'am. I said, let's get a three-way going.
Exactly.
And immediately the wife started crying.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
First of all, you don't know where you get ready to stay.
Right.
You got all your personal stuff and you almost here. So the conversation, he said, listen, I want you all to know I'm going to do whatever I can to get this deal closed.
Right.
And lo and behold, he thought on his feet and the appraisal was higher than what I negotiated.
So you had equity. So they had equity.
Instant equity that I didn't even think about because we were so excited.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't think about those things because it didn't initially come back with the initial, underwriting, because whenever you go through a loan, once you have your contract, once you have your inspection and all that kind of stuff, you have your conditional approval.
Right.
And the conditional approval said absolutely nothing about the car. Nothing about their debt to income ratio. Nothing.
And it matched their debt to income ratio was perfect, everything. And then boom, that. So my lender said, I'm going to call you all back in 24 hours. They said, we don't have 24 hours, sir. And so guess what I had to do? I had to think on my feet. They were like, where are we going to park? Where are we going to stay?
Right. They have a huge U-Haul.
Yes. So guess what I did? My parents have an in-law suite.
Oh.
And I called my mom and dad. I said, can my clients come and stay at your in-law suite? Because they have valuables in their U-Haul and I want them to park in your driveway.
So we're safe.
And so they're safe. And my mom was like, girl, you and your bright ideas. Turned out, fast forward, my parents fell in love with them. They ended up going to the same church.
Oh.
My mom would cook them breakfast every day. I said, take good care of them because we don't know if we're closing, Mama. And I said, you got to do this. And when we look back over it and we laugh and we just say, wow, I had to think on my feet.
You have to. That's one thing about real estate is there is no blueprint for it.
No.
It is not something that has a instruction manual.
Mm-mm.
There are so many trinkets and there's so many tricks and things that you have to know.
Yes.
And like you said, being quick on your feet, you sometimes have to think outside of the box for a whole transaction.
Yeah.
I mean, there are going to be your transactions where everything falls in line.
All day.
And those are great.
Yes.
But the more you're in real estate, the less that happens. The less that happens.
Yeah, so
you
they
had to
stay there a
learn.
week.
Oh, it took them a week to get everything figured out?
Yeah, no, not figured out. But you had to go back into underwriting, show that the car is going to be paid at closing, get the payoff of the car. So that took 24.
Yeah. Oh,
you see?
my gosh.
Oh, so when I told them we're going to be a week delayed, she's like, huh? I said, but you're going to be living in this beautiful home. It's better than a hotel. Breakfast will be served.
Right. You got to pour it on thick like some syrup, but just to get them into, because I had deals that need to be extended. I mean, if you've been in real estate for any period of time, that happens, okay, where something comes up and the contract closing date has to be pushed back. Sometimes they're pushed forward. I mean, those are great, but it's not uncommon for a deal to be pushed back.
Right.
But what is uncommon is for something like that 24 hours before closing. Because that is a huge, thank God that you had enough equity in the house so that could be finagled, because
and he had to think of it on his feet.
Right. And because a lot of times that's not a possibility. I mean, because great that the home appraised for equity.
Yeah.
But what if it wasn't enough equity? What if the buyer didn't have, so you couldn't use that option. And then what if the buyer didn't have the funds to be able to do that?
All day. It would have been a dead deal.
Dead deal. And and they're already almost here. They have to pay for all the moving, all their earnest money, all their, the funds that they pay for inspection, all that stuff is gone because within 24 hours before closing, your financing contingency is done. So at that point, if you get a decline within that time frame, your earnest money is forfeited. And the appraisal, it didn't have anything to do with appraisal, so that contingency couldn't be used.
No.
It didn't have anything to do with due diligence, so that contingency couldn't be used.
Everything.
Everything. How did the conversation go with the seller and the seller's agent? That's a whole story. It
was a foreclosure at the time, so that was bank owned. That was bank owned. Okay. So it's not as harsh.
Right.
You know how that goes.
Right.
And so she was nonchalant. She was like, I just believe, that it's going to work out. And I was excited because it hasn't always been like that.
No, then that's good, because I remember back in the day, yes. Because I remember back in the day, working with banks was brutal. I mean, because they
weren't
had
playing.
they weren't playing. They were strict on their numbers.
And don't call them.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything had to be emailed, and
Yes.
they respond at their time, at their leisure.
Yes.
And if you got on the phone with somebody, you better run down all those questions right then.
Yes.
Because you may not get somebody else on the phone anytime soon.
That's right.
And God forbid something happened and you have to, think outside the box or whatever. They often are ready to move on.
They are.
Rather than wait
Yeah.
and see what happens, because with a bank, oftentimes they have a number in mind.
They do.
They have a number and they have a time frame.
Yes.
Because they want to get that house off of their books.
Yep.
And once they know that something is happening, they also know that that property can go to somebody else
all day. So imagine this: you negotiated. I mean, I got them a great deal,
right?
And all their closing costs paid.
Oh,
and
wow.
then here I come asking for an amendment to increase the sales price. We don't share the appraisal.
Right.
And now I have to show them that it appraised for way more. And I was in prayer.
Right, because that gives them ammunition to say, we're not going to extend and put it back on the market for more money.
It was a lot of prayers going on.
It had to be.
Yes, ma'am.
And somebody heard. Look, he heard you.
And they had backup offers. That place was beautiful over in Lake Dow.
So if you know anything about Georgia real estate, Lake Dow is hot.
Yes.
Especially
finished basement.
Oh gosh. Finished basement, Lake Dow. It's just like if you're in Henry County, that's like Crystal Lake.
All day.
So it's a hot property. They already have backups.
Yes.
And we're getting ready to extend. And the appraisal has been divulged to them, so they know that what they selling it for is less than what it's worth.
And had tons of backup offers.
Oh my gosh. It was meant to be then. It had to have been meant to be, because all of those things lined up against you could have caused a domino effect for it to fall apart. Yeah. But it had to have been meant to be, because then on top of all that, it was a week later. We
did become good friends. They're just like family. And the wife ended up getting her license and coming to Home Smart.
Really?
Yes, yes.
That's all. See, that is a sign of a good agent. And when you can show them that side of real estate and it's intriguing and enough for them that they want to also get into it and do what you do and try to mimic you, and because that's flattery. I mean, for them to be coming from California as your client,
right? And
get here to Georgia, right? Get here to Georgia, know that even with that experience, you still stuck by them. You still went the above and beyond to make it as good of an experience as possible at that point.
Right.
That she would want to get into real estate and try to give that same experience to people that she may know.
Right.
Other than them closing, getting their keys, and then you all having a wonderful long relationship afterwards. What lesson did the experience teach you as an agent? Like, how did it cultivate you or mold you as an agent?
So it just kind of prepared me to, going forward, ask those questions. Hey, could you ask your underwriter if they're gonna make them pay their closing? Because a lot of my clients had new cars, and I'm like, y'all, we don't want to go through this. So I did.
Right.
And I did be proactive in asking, even though they had already got their pre-approval, and then they went through underwriting, and we were clearing conditions.
Right.
And that condition wasn't even on
the original one. It's a whole new condition, which is rare. I mean, it's very rare to get a new condition after you've already been conditionally approved.
All day. Yeah.
That is very rare. I mean, usually that's when an alert has come up or something like that.
That's what it was.
Right.
Yep. And so I pray that I don't get teary-eyed, but this particular couple, during the pandemic, when they first had the first wave of the pandemic, the husband went into the hospital and he passed away.
Oh my gosh.
He was getting ready to write his will, and the attorney had the appointment and everything. And they didn't have the will, so I had to sell the house.
Oh my gosh.
And me and her prayed, and we touched and agreed, and the attorney said it was going to take 3 months to go through probate, because that's when the Henry County was shut down.
Shut down, right.
Well, Jennifer Houston went to the probate court and pleaded with them. I said, this is a good friend of mine.
Right.
She lost her husband unexpected. We don't have 3 months.
Right.
Can you all please sign off on this? And they did. When I get ready to sell her house, her deed says tenants in common. It doesn't say joint right of
survivorship. Oh no.
So that was a whole nother fight.
That's a, definitely.
I had to go way back to, I'm not saying their names,
right.
the attorneys
we're not saying
are
any names.
no longer in business.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Found one of them, and the application says joint rights of survivorship.
They just didn't file it properly.
They just didn't file it properly. So we had to wait on that to get fixed through the title company.
Oh my gosh.
Title company
and you talking about the
they
pandemic.
didn't want to touch it.
Right.
Yeah, they didn't want to touch it because that was a huge mistake. But we got it to the closing table.
See, and that's another thing. You know,
my goodness.
That's another reason why to make sure you focus on who you have on your team. Like we've talked about in the previous episodes.
Yes.
We talked about making sure you have the right lender.
The
We
right
talked about
attorney.
making sure you have the right real estate agent.
Mhm.
You have to make sure you have the right attorney.
You do.
And you have to make sure that you are looking through those documents and making sure that what you're signing is what you agree to.
Yes.
Because one of the things that you're going to sign at closing is that title,
All
is that
day.
deed. And it's going to say at the very top what type it is. And so you need to make sure you double check that. And I'm sure with them, they just had so much stuff going on.
That was
the
day.
last thing
and I normally
on the mind.
would check it.
Right,
Yes.
right. And that's probably the last
And
thing
we
on the
were
mind.
shocked.
Right.
We were shocked. So I said, no, that's not our mistake.
It
What
definitely
does the
not.
application
She say, right.
And she found a copy of the application and it said taking it as joint with
Because
rights.
that would have sped up the probate with no problem. Because it's
Everything.
right of survivorship. It's
Yes.
not joint tenancy
She
and
wouldn't have
common.
had to deal with all that.
Right.
Mhm.
The whole thing would
Yes.
have went directly to her. His
Yes.
whole estate would have went
Yes.
directly to her.
Yes.
So you definitely, like I said, you will hear this in every episode prior to this one, and you will probably hear it in every episode afterwards.
Yes.
Make sure you have the right people on your bus.
team.
You have to.
Yes.
Because if you do not, it can lead to issues later on down the line. So
Yes.
make sure you are on top of that. And if you don't know if the right person is on the bus, there is so much stuff out there that you can do to research.
You can.
You have, like I said before, word of mouth. You have
Yes.
Google. You have there's so much information in our world of technology
is.
that you can go out there and look. You can go and look and see what kind of, for a realtor, you can look at their transaction history
All day.
and twice on Sunday.
Yes.
For a lender, you can look up their NMLS number
You
and
sure
see how
can.
many transactions they've had.
Yes.
Most lenders have ranking or have rates
Yes.
and scores, just like us as realtors, where you can
Yes.
see our like on Google, on
Yes.
Realtor.com, Redfin, and things like
Mhm.
that. You can see how our reviews.
Yes.
So those are things that you can see for attorneys as well.
Yes.
So those are things that you want to make sure, the buyer has a right to select their attorney, but a lot of times when it's a foreclosure or something like that, they have their attorneys that they use to
Mhm.
transfer title because title is already held there.
Right.
So you have to use their attorney, especially sometimes if you want to get those concessions and things like that.
Closing costs.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to use their attorney,
Mhm.
but make sure that you are following up and your realtor is following up for you.
Mhm.
And because our job is to try to keep as much of the stress off of you as possible.
Yeah, a lot we don't share.
Right. If we had to go back and account for everything that we've done in the transaction, you'd
Oh,
be
my
like,
goodness.
seriously? You did
Seriously.
this? You did that? I
Yes.
didn't even know. I know you didn't know.
We
That
didn't
was the
wanna
whole point.
include you, yeah.
Right, that was the whole point. And it's not
Yes.
that we're trying to keep secrets from you. It is us trying to make sure that we facilitate the job that we were hired to do,
That's right.
which is help you buy and sell your home.
Yes.
There are some things we can't do. We can't help on the financial end of that because
Mhm.
that's you and your lender.
That's right.
But we do stay in contact with the lender.
Yes.
We do stay in contact with the closing attorney, your
Mhm.
inspector, and as much as we can be in contact with the appraiser, we're in
That's
contact with
right.
them.
That's
But
right.
that is a burden that we hold as your realtor, and that's what we sign on for.
That's
So
right.
to try to make sure that the experience you have from contract to close
Mhm.
and afterwards is as pleasant as possible, garner the situation.
Yeah.
What would you advise future clients and realtors to do? Should they be in that situation or to prevent that situation?
So if you're a first-time home buyer, I always share with people, don't finance a car until after you buy your home.
Mhm.
Get yourself a cash car, enjoy it, and go get your home. So then you wouldn't have to,
Do that,
deal with
especially if you know it's in the cards relatively
Absolutely.
soon.
Yes,
if you're already planning to buy a house in the next year or two,
That's right.
put that off.
Yes, yes.
Or if you have to get something that you have to get a
Get
payment
around to
for,
work, yeah.
get something small,
Yes.
low payment, things like that.
Yes,
Mhm.
because it'll be wise to do like they did, use your equity to pay it off because you get a better
Exactly,
rate.
you get a better rate, and then
Yes.
you have zero. You
Yes.
have no payment anymore. You
And
own the car
deductions. Now
and
you got
deductions. Right now, you have deductions on top of that.
Yes.
Right,
And
absolutely.
so I would definitely recommend that. And just ask questions.
Mhm.
Don't be in a hurry. It's so many people today, we
Popcorn
meet
mentality.
them, when we meet them, I'm ready. I found a house. I'm like, we haven't even talked. Let's go over the process. You need to have this money, that money, this.
Right.
And it's like they want you to move
heaven and earth.
Oh,
and,
and
don't get me wrong, we try.
We do.
We do try.
Yes.
And that might be a little bit our fault.
Yes, it is.
We
You tell me,
try.
come on, okay, boom, boom, boom. We
Exactly. We're trying to get there. But at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is we need to prepare you, and don't think that we're trying to put you on hold or anything like that. We just want to make sure that once you are ready to make that move, that all things are as lined up as possible, because we don't want to be the cause of frustration. We don't want to be the cause of you losing anything, and then that cause all kinds of resentment or things like that. So we don't want to be a part of that. We want to be part of the good stuff.
Solution
Exactly.
finder.
Exactly.
And out of 21 years, I've only had one person, which was a VA, got us all the way under contract and said he don't have his earnest money. My lender, same lender, he said, Jennifer, could you get on the phone with me so we can ask the listing agent, can we do an amendment to remove earnest money? And we closed the deal.
Oh, well, look, that's good. To not have any earnest money, was in the contract, removed it, and still closed the deal.
Yes, and my lender asked him to verify his funds, and he did. But he went and bought furniture.
And you had just gone on the contract. Ladies and gentlemen, please do not. That is on, when I talk to a buyer, that is on my list of things not to do.
Do not.
Don't go get new credit. Don't buy a car. Do not buy furniture.
Money.
Don't do anything. No big purchases, period. You know what you can do? You can go get some food and you can get some gas.
Yes,
that's about it. That's about it. Continue to pay your bills.
Yes.
But don't accumulate new bills.
Yes.
Those kinds of things. I mean, because all of that ties in. The lender needs to know what kind of funds you have. They need to make sure that you're a good manager of your funds.
Yes.
That's why you can't make sure you can't have new credit, because they don't want to see that you all of a sudden acquiring new debt.
Yes.
So all those things play a large part in getting to clear to close.
But I could write a book. Oh my goodness.
Look, someone that said, she said, you need to write you after you retire, so that you don't get anybody in trouble.
Yes.
But after you retire, write you a novel. And I said, honey, I have to write
it'll be
series.
America's bestseller, wouldn't it?
It would be a series.
I've taken people to the doctor.
Honey.
Oh my goodness, Lord have mercy.
Yes, sat with them in the ER. Honey, the stories we could tell. But it's all by grace, and I am so appreciative of it. But I am so glad that actually worked out. I hate that they are no longer here with us, but the good thing is they had an agent bust their butt for them while they were here. But thank you so much for coming in with us. It is my pleasure.
It's so nice and cozy in here.
Well, look, y'all are going to see her again. Trust me, because we're going to keep this thing going, because we want people to know the real side of real estate, and to know that there are agents out there that will work for you.
They will.
Not against you, not in spite of you, but for you. So thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So you guys, make sure if you enjoyed this or any of the other ones, make sure you like, subscribe, share, follow. And we will see you soon on the next episode of Realty and Reality Unfiltered. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.